Hey guys, this is The Crime Happens Here. I am Nicole Christensen, and today we're going to be talking about Hannah Wesche and Lindsay Partin. So Lindsay Partin was a babysitter and had been watching a 3-year-old little girl named Hannah Wesche for about 8 months. According to Lindsay, on the morning of the incident, Hannah's father dropped her off in the garage. Lindsay was waiting for her in the garage. And she said that when Dad drove off, they were entering into the home and Hannah just went limp, completely unresponsive. Lindsay quickly called Hannah's father, who turned around immediately. He was still driving when this happened. When he arrived, he noticed that the little girl was unresponsive. She had to be instructed to call 911 because she hadn't called any emergency personnel yet.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's going on?
Okay, my name is Lindsay. I babysit kids.
Yes.
And we just dropped her off, and all of a sudden she just passed out.
Who's passed out?
The little girl, she's 3. She felt pretty bad yesterday, and she's been fine. And then all of a sudden, you dropped off this morning, and she walked in, and she just kind of passed out, and she went limp.
Okay.
I don't know.
Are you with her now?
Yes, and so is her dad. I called her. Yes, hurry, she's bad. There's something wrong.
Okay. Is she awake right now?
Yeah.
No, stay on the line with me. I have to ask you 2 questions while my partner gets the medics dispatched. Okay, is she breathing?
Yes, in and out.
Okay.
Yes, in and out. I don't know what's wrong.
Okay, is her breathing completely normal?
Oh, yes, almost gone. Hurry, please.
Okay, lay down on her back.
Knocked out.
Lay her down on her back and let her head tilt back.
Okay, so I'm so sorry that what's happening.
Okay. Is she still unconscious, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
No, she's not unconscious. Her eyes are open and she's like just gasping for air.
What's the matter?
Fucking shock or something.
I don't know what could be wrong with her.
I don't either. She was fine. Who just walked in the house?
She got up, brushed her teeth.
I don't understand.
Lindsay, it's okay. They're on the way.
She just walked in the house and just passed out.
Hey.
Parkinson.
Hey. Look at Daddy. Hannah. Look up.
You're okay.
Hannah was taken to the hospital where she was found with multiple injuries on her body along with bruises and scratches, and it was determined that she died of head trauma. Lindsay's story just didn't add up from the very beginning. She just was not credible at all. Not only that, but she continued to tell different stories and different versions of the events. And also she couldn't come up with any reasonable explanation as to why Hannah was continuously getting hurt at her home. Lindsay would later be charged and convicted of first-degree murder. However, to this day, she still claims her innocence and has tried to appeal her case. So sweet little Hannah Wesche was born on January 11th, 2015. Her father, Jason, was raising her alone because Hannah's mother was in jail for selling heroin. Hannah was a drug baby and would have to deal with all the side effects of her mom participating in heroin use while she was pregnant with Hannah. When Hannah was 2 years old, Jason found an awesome job at a construction company. One of his coworkers, Timothy, was talking to him and mentioned that his partner, Lindsay, could watch Hannah during the day. It seemed like this perfect situation because Lindsay was already a mother of 2 kids and she watched other kids during the day. And they were also basically neighbors, so it just was perfect. Every morning, he would drop off Hannah at about 7 a.m., and then he would pick her up after his 8 to 12-hour shifts. Hannah would regularly come home with injuries, bruises, and scratches, but they were always explained away by Lindsay. Jason knew that his daughter could be quite rambunctious, and so it just seemed to make sense that she would get her under the care of somebody who is watching multiple children. He never suspected Lindsay would be abusing her in any way. Jason honestly thought that Lindsay had Hannah's best interest in mind. Hannah never wanted to be dropped off with Lindsay though, and would cry every time that Jason left. However, Jason just assumed this was because she would rather be with him. He never thought that it was because Hannah was afraid of what might happen under the care of Lindsay. Hannah's grandfather was especially concerned about all the injuries, but once again, it was so well explained by Lindsay that Jason just would ease the worries of his family members who noticed bruising all around her body. So Lindsay Partin lived with her partner Timothy J. Smith and their 2 daughters. She loved kids, supposedly, and had an associate's degree in preschool education and accepted babysitting jobs as a side hustle. And that is why Timothy thought that she wouldn't mind accepting the task of caring for Hannah. According to Timothy, she resented Hannah at first because she wasn't the one to agree to watch her. But she would soon love Hannah like her own. She would only make $30 a day for these 8 to 12-hour shifts 5 days a week. It was just a lot of work for not that much pay. Not only that, but Jason was often late on payments. It was also recorded that there would be some times that she would be expected to take Hannah to dance, and she was feeding her 3 meals a day. Hannah was quite mischievous and did require a lot of work for just $30 a day. She would get into trouble, pour ketchup in the toilet, and just run around crazy. Lindsay said there were many times that she would have to do the little girl's laundry. Lindsay was going through a lot in her personal life. She not only was getting paid nothing to watch a troubled child, but she also suffered a miscarriage a few weeks before Hannah passed away. Her relationship was on the rocks with Timothy, and she was watching her children. She's watching her children, her 2 kids, plus Hannah, plus 2 other children, and they were all under the age of 4. She was just doing too much for too little. It appears that she wasn't mentally stable to be watching all of those children. So on the morning of March 8th, 2018, so Hannah was dropped off by Jason, and that is when the dreaded moment happened where Hannah became unresponsive. However, let's take a look at what happened in that short of time. After being interrogated, Lindsay finally confessed that she was extremely frustrated with Hannah after being dropped off by her dad. She said that Hannah wouldn't stop whining and crying when her dad left. She said that she shook her until she stopped crying. The police officers didn't believe this story. They pushed her a little bit more until she confessed that she might have been a little bit more aggressive with Hannah than she had previously stated. She might have hit her over the head, and she tried to convince the police that this wasn't a regular occurrence, and this was the first time that she was aggressive with Hannah. The autopsy reports say that she died from tremendous brain damage and deep bruising to the back of the head caused by a blunt impact. During the trial, experts even went as far as saying that due to the abuse that was done to Hannah, she would not have been able to walk and talk afterwards. So the injury had to have happened right when she was dropped off, since both Dad and Lindsay told the police that she was acting normally when she was dropped off. Clearly, the abuse was so regular that it started immediately when she was left alone with Hannah. The brain injury was so bad that the doctors from Cincinnati Children's Hospital said that it was consistent with what they see in children who have suffered a severe car accident. When officers went through all of Hannah's injuries, Lindsay had an excuse for every single one. She went into great detail, even acting out what happened, in order to convince investigators of her story. She claimed that Hannah had several falls that caused her many injuries. She said that she fell off a step, or she fell out of a crib, just all these excuses. After more hours of interrogation, Lindsay admitted over the course of the 8 months that she had been watching Hannah, she would hit her upside the head, aggressively poke her in the chest, and squeeze her in the middle of her body. She even said that she hit Hannah in the chin, cutting it open on 2 separate occasions. It was clear that she didn't like Hannah. Hannah was a troubled child and would handle her by being abusive. Lindsay went on to defend her actions by saying that it was the only way to deal with Hannah and all of her issues. However, it was proven that Hannah was the only child under her care that was treated in that way. In fact, in trial, many of the parents who had their kids watched by Lindsay came forward saying they didn't believe that Lindsay could possibly abuse a child. She didn't abuse any other children, according to documents, and During the time that she was caring for Hannah, Hannah was her only victim. When the case went to trial, the defense tried to put as much doubt on Jason as they possibly could. They tried to say that he had abused Hannah and then he dropped her off in the care of Lindsay. They believed that Jason was really the true bad guy in this whole scenario. However, there was no proof that Jason had ever abused any of his children. It was clear from the very beginning that it was not Jason. Defense believed that the police officers didn't do an adequate job because they never looked into Jason. They did an initial interview, but he was never interrogated like Lindsay was. Defense said that his phone records weren't even seized. It was also proven that Jason lied about a couple of things the first time that he spoke to investigators. For example, he actually had a male friend staying at the home that he did not disclose that was there at the time of the incident. The investigators went into it trying to get a confession out of Lindsay, and then she was coerced into admitting that she had been aggressive with Hannah. This is what the defense was trying to prove. After 8 days of trial, Lindsay Partin was convicted of murder, involuntary manslaughter, and 4 counts of child endangering. Lindsay did file a 20-page appeal stating that there were a lot of inconsistencies in the case that needed to be reviewed. The appeal alleged legal errors, including Partin's case was prejudiced with the prosecution failed to disclose some facts in the case, and she received constitutionally ineffective assistance of counsel. The appeal argues that Partin's counsel was ineffective by not filing a motion to suppress her interrogation statements to investigators and failing to object, or even ask for a continuance, when they were surprised by undisclosed information by the state. In the decision written by Judge Robert Ringland, the appeals court found the state submitted sufficient evidence to convict and that Partin's conviction was supported by manifest weight of the evidence, noting that she and Jason agreed that Hannah was acting normally upon drop-off, and Partin admitted shaking, squeezing, and dropping Hannah, and medical evidence indicated that Hannah's injuries would have rendered her unresponsive. So the appeal was obviously denied. This is such a horrific case because it all could have been easily avoided. Hannah was too young to express what was going on with Lindsay, and it breaks my heart that Jason believed Lindsay when she would lie about why Hannah had so many injuries. Poor Hannah suffered for months and months, and it just makes me sick to my stomach that this happened at all. So my heart goes out to Jason and his family during this time. Well, that's it for me, you guys. Thanks for watching. The Crime Happens Here. Stay safe and be kind. Bye.